Well, here we are today, and today we're talking about the conversion of a Series 1 from manual to power steering. This has all come about because the poor old bugger who owns it's getting a bit frail, and he's saying that he's having a terrible job getting it out the curb when he gets boxed in. We decided to use a kit from the well-known Range Rover P38 model, and because all the other steering boxes and all the other models we've changed many times over the years, we decided that the P38 box was the only one that we'd never been asked to change, so that's why we decided on using that. As usual, as per the rules of the establishment, most of this had to be done almost totally without buying anything from the open market. We had a Defender steering column, which you can see fitted here. Now, this Defender steering column is one that's used quite a lot in conversions nowadays, and it sits rather nicely, as you can see, through the existing holes, and ends up in a very good position here for the cross shaft to the steering box. Unfortunately, this position here, which is the ideal position for the cross shaft to the steering box, and just there you can see the provisional plate for mounting the steering box, meant that it was rather low. This put the joints in rather a maximum position, meaning that they were on the absolute limits of operating, so we've put the steering column up higher onto the box, as you can see. Now, this unfortunately meant that the steering wheel was far too far into the driver's compartment, and it meant a shortening of this column, which was a considerable amount of work, of which you'll be able to see in the accompanying photographs. As you can see clearly, this front cover, freshly painted, is the cover from a 2.5 Petrol 90. Now, we needed this because it had the correct drillings and tappings for the original Land Rover fixings for the power steering pump assembly. As you can see here is the power steering pump assembly, and the pulley caused us some considerable problem as well, and the accompanying pictures will describe and tell you all about that as well. And as we come over here now, here is the pump assembly, and this is all per really very much Defender. One of the problems we had to overcome was the battery. Now, the battery used to live here, and here's the remains of the battery carrier, and it used to extend in this area here, which of course we've had to remove to make room for the pump. Here you can see the extra fuel tank fitted to the passenger side, something that was fitted in our expedition days. Seeing as we think they're probably mainly over nowadays, we did think of cutting the top out and using that as an under-seat seat box, as we have done for other vehicles in the past. In the middle seat area here, we had this ex-military ammunition box bolted in here, which originally had a safe inside, and although we were reluctant to lose most of the space, because it can be very useful, we decided that due to the amount of work that had gone fitting the extra fuel tank with changeover taps, fuel gauge and everything, it would be rather a shame not to leave it as it was, so we decided to put the battery here in this central box, as per many of the 24-volt Land Rovers used to be. Yes, well, here we are back again this afternoon, and as you can see, the chief engineer today, what he's been doing is cutting out a nice piece of the chassis to put the nice mounting plate is in, and what a jolly good job he's made. Look at that now. Well, here we are again this afternoon, and as you can see here, we found a little 14-inch steering wheel kicking around. We thought we might try this, as we're not going to need such a large steering wheel, and this will probably be changed for a Defender wheel, I would suspect. All the chassis plate welding, etc., has all been finished now, and the boxes being provisionally bolted on, as you can see. We've made the pipes here, and the main feed pipe, the pressure pipe, we decided not to run all around the front of the chassis. It was rather a long way around and rather awkward, so much to the disgust of my senior engineer, I've run it across the bottom of the engine, but I don't actually see a great deal of problem with that. The return, as you can see, we've run here and run it around the front of the front rad panel. As it's low pressure and concealed quite nicely in there, I really don't have a problem with that either. Yes, well, here we are back again. As you can see, we're all going along very nicely here now. We've had to move the brake pipe clamp there and re-put it on the chassis, but as you can see, we've a nice bit of new pipe in there, and we're quite happy with that as well. Yes, and here you can see the drag link, which has worked out rather nicely, and we've even managed to include the old P38 damper there, look. Yes, the reservoir and pipes are now all in, and apart from making a few clamps and clamping that up, we're happy with that as well. Yes, well, here we are again, and we're ready to do a road test. Time to find out if we're as good as we think we are. Just have one last check here now to see what's going on. Oh, look at that. Yes, that'll do me. Oh, come on, sort yourselves out. That's it, you stand in the road, mate. Best thing to do when you're on the phone. Oh, it's so easy. Should have done it years ago. This is just too easy. Hey! That'll do me.